So she's going to be performing work from her latest book, Teeth in the Back of My Neck. Monika, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm Monika. It's really nice to be here. Thank you for coming. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, about the book, and then I'll just jump right in. I'm 25. I was born in London. I'm Brazilian and Montenegrin, so I'm what's known as a third culture kid. So my parents moved to the UK. I grew up in the UK, but neither of my parents are from there, and they're both from different countries. So that's influenced my work a lot. I have a degree in politics and international relations, and then I also have my master's in international development, and I work for a feminist political party when I'm not writing. And Teeth in the Back of My Neck, so it came out of a single poem, which I'm going to read for you in a bit, called 23andMe. Which is a poem about DNA testing websites where you can order a home kit and find out what percentage of what you are. And I have a particular habit where I will put a kit in the basket. I kept going to 23andMe, and I would put a kit in the basket, and I would almost check out. I'd almost do it, and I would just be too scared, because if you're like me and you have mixed heritage, sometimes you spend a lot of time trying to prove you are what you are, and you have the credentials to say, you know, I'm this and that. And the idea of those percentages not matching up to what I'd grown up with and my experiences is too scary. So from there, I wrote this poem, 23andMe, and I submitted it to the Murky Books New Writers Prize without really thinking too much about it. And to my ongoing shock, I won, and that led to a publishing contract, and that led to Teeth in the Back of My Neck. So I'm going to start with a poem that I didn't plan to read, but I wanted to read it because I felt like it was really important. It's not particularly a safe time to be a woman at the moment. It's never been, but it feels particularly raw and close at the moment. And I wrote a poem about, it's called Small Flowers for Men. And this poem is about if you are a woman, who's ethnically ambiguous looking, your identity is often used as a way in for men to try and take your attention. And often that can become dangerous. So you end up minimizing who you are to kind of protect yourself. So this is Small Flowers for Men. When you take her hand, remember how she paints nail-polished daisies on the corners of her thumbs and forefingers, pulling them into every conversation, kneading words with her hands as if baking bread in the air, but that clenches them into quiet and careful fists when she pulls the pints in the pub. A smile that isn't hers, smeared on like lipstick on teeth. And remember how her eyes slide away from the boys on park benches when she walks across the downs to meet you in her raincoat with printed sunflowers, taking careful, flat steps against the claggy mud, moving as if turning her body into a landscape, into background noise, to become not nothing, even less than. And remember how she stares at those shoes and won't put them on again after that night when she came back, ran back from dinner with the girls, something now broken between you, her favorite pair of shoes. You know the ones, right? The ones you both laughed at when she pointed to them on the charity shop shelf. So high up, you had to reach out to get them. Treasure crafted only for her, with pink and green plastic petals and a silver heel, now under the bed in a cloth bag, along with something invisible that she refuses to tell you about. And remember how she says, okay, to hugging men, instead of giving them her number, even when she doesn't want to and can't pretend to. Remember how she softens and curls inwards so that the chest never touches. How she steps away so quickly with an unthreatening laugh, and how once she told you she handed him a daffodil, pulled from the bushes by her bus stop as if to exchange her body for some other living thing, as if to say, I gave you what you wanted, so let me walk away. Remember how beautiful you thought she looked when she wore red hibiscus in her hair, her dark hair, all summer, when she looked like her mother. And then after too many mummies, put them away in a drawer, never to be worn again. Thank you. So this is 23andMe. This is the poem for me. This is what led me to what I'm holding in my hands today. And as I said, it's about the fear of not being able to prove you are who you say you are. From somebody who grew up with Brazilian and Montenegrin heritage, who sort of half speaks one of those languages, who doesn't get to go home that often. For me, home is in many different places. The idea that the experience and the knowledge that I've grown up with and that has comforted me when I think about my identity, the idea of not having that or losing that in some way is what drives this poem. Here's an idea. A little bit of my spit will determine which language I could be speaking, what food I should be eating, which box I will be ticking. I have borders pre-coded into my skin. I have passports tattooed into the marrow of my bones. I have ancestral whispers twisted into the drumbeat of my heart. Stories and smells and sounds passed down through skin cells from warriors whose bodies are buried in jungles. I can fill a test tube with chemical compounds and mold my flesh into castles without windows for you, sir. I can send the neurotic, joyful chaos that is me to a group of strangers and pretend I'm not afraid. And they will map out the hieroglyphs of my history with pins and threads made of wool, stretching from ocean to mountain to river. They will rewrite the stories I have buried deep in the pit of my belly until I am gutted like a fish with bulging eyes, and I have no windpipe left to explain to people all the percentages assigned to body parts. See, my left leg, it's from here, and my shoulder, it's from over there. And as if I'm on a butcher's table, I will prostrate myself and dissect where I'm free range and where I'm organic, which parts are mass-produced and what of me is inedible. I will regurgitate the deaths, the births, the weddings, the celebrations I missed because I've been trapped here on an island in the middle, and they have moved on without us. I will relearn the stories only half told from my mother, repaint my canvases until my colors bleed together violently so no one will ever ask again, "What are you?" Because I shall have the answers, weaponized, digitized, and they will fix everything. Yes, they will fix everything. Just a little bit of spit, it seems, will pull me apart at the seams. So I will swallow my own tongue, and before anyone sees, I will exit 23andMe, and in 6 months, return and repeat. Thank you. This is the penultimate poem that I'll share with you today. It's called The Great Divide. And there are two things you need to know in order to understand this. This is a poem about a conversation between my two grandmas, and they're interchangeable in this conversation. One of them is called Baba, that's the Serbian for grandma, and one of them is called Vovó, which is the Brazilian for grandma. It's where I'm, my two grandmas, my two heritages. And this is a conversation about generational differences, but it's also a conversation about privilege. It's a conversation about completely different interpretations of the same thing. And it's about what often can't be said when you're having a conversation with somebody where there might be a language barrier or a generational divide, or there's a lot of unspoken stuff here. So just remember, vovó, baba, both mean grandma. We sit in the half-light. We sit adjacent to the streams of hot gold pouring in through the windows. Vovó cuts a pineapple. No, Baba slices a watermelon. Flies patrol the skies like predators hunting prey. Grandma, I say, Grandma, I am angry all the time. Vovó regards me with her dark eyes, regards me like a soft, sage monkey, fruit clutched between her paws. Why, my love, my darling, my soul of mine? I tell her about all the thoughts that sit heavily on my chest, stone paperweights I fear will drown me, and thus the great divide is born, invisible in the thick air. Now, Baba doesn't understand the roots of my rage. You were born in London. You go to good schools. You have a good father, she reminds me gently. You didn't grow up like me. Brief pause while I ask my mother to translate a word or two, repeat to check pronunciation, turn back to her. I try to explain my fury when men yell at me on the streets they do not own, when hands I don't solicit invade the skin and warmth that hold me together, when a stranger threatened me with that ugly, dirty act. Yes, that one. And I rooted myself to the ground, knowing to keep my mouth shut to make it to tomorrow. Well, Baba says, sometimes it's nice to be complimented, you know? They usually don't mean any harm. I used to walk taller, my back straighter. I used to tease them like you wouldn't believe, Vovó says. You didn't grow up like me. But Grandma, I say, what about when their stares wire your jaw shut and rip from your throat the words you have always used as self-defense and twist them into origami silence? Baba shrugs and reminds me that in life, men might be the head, but women are the neck, and we have to do the twisting softly, softly, so they don't feel it. She tells me to pay no attention, to take another direction home, quietly. You didn't grow up like me. Vovó tells me she was angry too sometimes, but life does to women what distance does to lovers, quenches that thirst, douses that fire. She tells me our bodies must be our weapons sometimes, but we learnt to use them as smoke screens, Grandma says, scratching her chin with wiry curled hairs. Brief pause while I ask my mother to translate a word or two. Repeat to check the pronunciation. Okay, turn back to her. I say no. No. I want my body to be just my body, not a weapon, not a crime scene. Baba swats away a fly and hands me a dripping chunk of mango, groans as she stretches out like a swollen knee. You didn't grow up like me. My love, my daughter's daughter, my joy. Grandma had other things to worry about when I was your age. I climbed mountains to feed your father. I cleaned 1,000 toilets to feed your mother. I was taken from my family in the forest, and the way back was rendered impossible. I am not angry. Life is life is life. You know? I don't know that, Grandma. I refuse to know that. Silence settles like the blankets Grandma folds up every morning on her sofa bed. Vovó closes her eyes and lets the fan take over the chatter for a while. And Baba's breath is slow and even and peaceful. The flies sense the opportunity and deploy the troops, attacking the sticky sweet papaya husk, the huge swollen orange she had devoured in the morning. Vovó liked to cut the tops off of the oranges and suck all the delicious juicy pulp from its home. And I watch her and count the lines on her face. Count the seconds between each slack-jawed inhale. Count the spaces in the great divide, eagle spread on the concrete underneath our feet. And wish we could have spoken forever. Thank you. Thank you. And this is the last one, the final poem. This was written about a year after Brexit. So, whatever people's feelings and opinions on Brexit, I will just say as somebody who has European heritage, Montenegro is not part of the EU, so we weren't affected in the same way, but the amount of xenophobia, direct racism that came out of Brexit changed my family, changed the way I see myself in this country, changed the way I think I can understand politics in this country, probably forever. And I feel Brexit deeply. Whoops. And a lot of what I've written is about what changed from 2016 onwards, and it was a change. And that's a lot of what this book goes into. This book is divided into two. There's the first section is the teeth, and the second section is the neck. So I wrote it in a way of, if you imagine the way a lion grabs its prey with its jaws, the teeth, that's the heavy stuff, the hard stuff. Those are the world problems that I've written about: discrimination, identity, being a woman, sexism, racism, etc. That's the stuff that really bites. And then the neck is the body. It's the impact of what happens when all this stuff is clenching you. And that's the prey. So that's why all of the stuff that I've performed today is from the second half of the book, the neck. And this is one of my favorite poems. And it's a testament to my parents, because I wouldn't be here today without their sacrifice. This is My House Dismantles Your House. My house dismantles your house. It's got 3 doors and all of my colors. Oh, my house has markings on the wall, my height, hers, his, recorded into post, blitz, brick, and wooden floors. Dad inlaid himself one sweaty afternoon as the tar got under his fingernails. So don't you even think about scratching it up. My house dismantles your house. It's an empire, a fortress. When they signed for it, I couldn't even walk, eyes untrained. So I missed how the fear made their hands shake and their voices strain, and wallpapering calm over doubt and doubt and doubt, and calling home to let anxious families know everything is fine. The kids are fine. The house is fine. The house is our house, and it's fine, all fine. We've made it. Oh, that's the sweet relief. The smell of my house that dismantles your house. Hung with pictures a wealthy man once gave us, my house is a palace, a paradise, with my name written on the underside of the stairs, unsteady pencil marks of a 6-year-old, tongue between teeth, determined to stake her claim over this gold mine. My house is the laugh of my mother, the laugh she took from her mother, the only thing she brought from home. And my house dismantles your house. It's a relic of perfection, a slice of something different, where the phone calls are loud, where Dad's volcanic vibrations punch through the floorboards, peppered with beautiful errors and languages the neighbors don't understand, where every item is cherished as solid proof that coming here wasn't a mistake. A bank-approved confirmation that the roots put down here were the right ones, the smart ones, a price worth paying for their blood to have the right accent, to carry power on their lips and opportunity in their mouths. Oh, My house dismantles your house with its audacity and its pride. It fills the lungs and swells the chest, the lifetime achievement of the phenomenally weary parents with their endless children. Immigration done right, the strangers said before they invalidated us with the ballot paper in sweaty 2016. And now you question why Dad slams the shutters down in the face of your discomfort, but it barely matters to me. You see, my house dismantled your house before your house could dismantle mine. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Just to say, my book is available over there if you did want to grab a copy, and thank you so much for listening.